Silver is breaking out and it's potentially about to get crazy in the silver and gold market because we are on the edge of some massive geopolitical tensions that we'll talk about. I'll give you the latest updates right here because this could get triggered literally at any moment right now, and we could see some crazy things happen for gold and silver. And I also want to talk about this price prediction at the end of the video. So I've seen this float around over on X, $300 to $500 an ounce for silver. Could it potentially happen? We'll break that down in today's video at the end as well, once we get through all the important stuff. So if you enjoy the updates, just like the video, appreciate you being here, and let's get straight into it. So you can see right here, guys, exactly as we predicted right here on this channel, you know, staying bullish on silver, staying bullish on gold. Have a look at this nice little breakout forming. So we've actually bounced from about $71 all the way up to $84.62, and it seems to be gathering momentum, right? And this is pairing up exactly as we predicted about the geopolitical tensions that are unfolding in the world. So remember what I've been telling you. I've been telling you that, you know, as the world gets more and more geopolitically crazy and geopolitically stormy, you're going to see money fly into gold and silver because it's very scared right now. And we do have massive breaking updates right here. So gold is reclaiming key milestones. Silver is crushing it today. So 400 billion added in market cap. Gold's up $1 trillion, and this is the big one. So the US has now assembled its largest military force in the Middle East since the 2003 Iraq invasion, which includes 2 aircraft carriers, 12 warships, hundreds of fighter jets, multiple air defense systems, 150 plus military cargo flights, another 50 plus jets in 48 hours, jets including F-35s, F-22s, F-16s. Oil prices are starting to rise. And the important thing is Trump is about to make that decision. So the assets that you can see right here demonstrated in this nice, you know, picture put together by Ian Jones of how many assets are now stationed around the Middle East, ready to basically fire upon Iran. So all the assets are in place, roughly, right? Pretty much they're all there. And the only thing we're waiting for right now is what Trump does. So does Trump decide to launch today? Today is the 21st of February, Saturday. Tomorrow is going to be the 22nd of Sunday. I've seen reports out there saying, you know, it could come as early as today. So literally, maybe by the time this video goes live, or when you're watching this, you might see headlines saying, you know, the strikes have been launched against Iran. And really, we are in a very unpredictable phase of, you know, the response from Iran. If this was to break out, what happens? And then you have to also factor in the fallout of all this as well. So remember, war is not smooth. So who remembers the Iraq invasion? So they thought that was like mission accomplished. You know, you could see George Bush on that being mission accomplished, and it was far from accomplished. And then it turns into a massive quagmire. Same deal with Afghanistan, the war that was actually lost and people left there. Now the Taliban's back in control. So remember, these things are highly, you know, unpredictable, and sometimes they're quite hard to win as well. The big difference between those types of wars and Iran is you're probably not going to see a ground invasion, I would say. So I'd say this is mostly like a naval and air force, where they're going to be just sending in missiles and missiles and missiles into Iran. I don't think you're going to see troops on the ground in Iran. I think it's too big, too dangerous, and it would just, you know, have a huge loss of life in that scenario. But it's just, you know, we're on the edge right now. That's basically what's happening. Gold is telling us that story right now as we're, you know, moving up in price. Same deal with silver, and that's the biggest geopolitical thing to have on the radar literally at the moment. So it could happen any moment right now. And the other thing is, you know, the reason I'm kind of predicting some type of strike by the US is Trump might see this as weakness if he's brought all these assets into the Middle East and then nothing happens, right? So if he's moved all these assets, planes, warships, and then he doesn't do a strike, what message is that going to say to Iran? So I think the fate of this conflict is pretty much sealed, and it's just a matter of time before something happens, okay? So that's one of the biggest things for gold and silver. And again, you know, we might get a bit of a spike, more of a spike, as this uncertainty happens. So it depends on how bad things get. Remember, gold and silver is historically, traditionally an asset that loves chaos. It loves, you know, bad things, unfortunately. So it's an inverse type of asset. And when bad things start to happen, that's when all the energy kind of goes into gold and silver, right? So you're going to see people put lots and lots of money in. That's why I think at the moment, it's a good time to just be stacking at the moment. So if you have been stacking, I think it's a great asset to have exposure to, in addition to other commodities, other precious metals out there right now. And you can see on the technical charts, we're sitting at a very important level of resistance. So if we break through this, it's going to get exciting, because you can see previously we actually got rejected from this level. So from the technical point of view, we got up to about $84, then we got rejected all the way and pushed down to 71. So we're right at this critical level for silver. If we break through for this, it's going to be interesting, and this could potentially break out literally with the breakout of the war, and that's what we need to have on the radar. Now let's play this clip with some crazy silver price predictions, some crazy gold price predictions, and I'll give you my take on it as well. So let's listen into this one, and I'll tell you guys what I think.
Within the next 6 months, you wouldn't be surprised if silver could possibly hit anywhere between $300 and $500 an ounce.
Yeah, with a jiggle. No doubt there, I think there will be a jiggle in the middle that will scare the heck out of people, even the ardent silver bulls.
And gold would be way north of 5,000 at that point.
Yeah, I think, what if, for example, gold hit 8,000 and did its, quote, normal eightfold move? It's done it twice prior to bull markets were
yes.
Do it again.
Yeah.
That's not exceptional. That's just doing it again. Okay. And it goes to 8,000, and silver goes back to its spread relationship of gold would have had in 2011, where we were $50. It's 3.1% the price of gold. Well, what's 3% of 8,000? Pretty nice number. But when you factor in also Eric Sprada, a friend of mine, you know who he is.
Yes, of course.
He's been making the argument in speeches that, if you take the money supply and factor that into the price of silver where it was in 1980, and notice the money supply growth since then, or 2011, and note where the money supply growth has been since then, what percent gain, then add that to those two highs and you come up with numbers well up in the couple $100 just to match the real buying power of silver.
So I actually think that's actually quite a reasonable take. So I don't think he's overhyping that at all. So really what he's saying is, gold rallies. And this take was obviously a bit ago, because the silver price at the time of the video was about $94. But the fundamentals remain the same. So look, if gold goes to, say, $8,000, and silver goes to 3.1% of the gold price, that is going to be roughly like $250, right? So $250 for silver, which is super nice. But then he also talks about, one of the fundamental things we talk about on this channel, which is the US national, money supply, debt supply. But this is also all the countries out there as well. So remember, there is an equation that is also going in our direction. And it's one of these things that, the world is getting a lot more untrustworthy in terms of people trusting the government, right? So who actually really trusts the government these days? Not many people. And you can see the US national debt is going to hit 40 trillion. I think that's almost a certainty. We're probably going to see 50 trillion. One day we're going to see like 100 trillion. And this thing keeps going up. And one thing we can do is we can trust gold and silver, right? So this is another, this is why gold and silver, it doesn't really have a price ceiling on it. So you can't really say, or one day it's only going to reach like $10,000 and that's it. That's not the way it works. So it does have a link into the money supply. And because we know the money supply is so corrupted and, scammy, this is a long-term asset. And this is why, I plan personally, and again, you can go off and do your own decisions and make your own research. I plan to hold this indefinitely to grow wealth, basically. That's my strategy for gold and silver, right? So I do think as this world kind of spins more and more chaotically, like a carousel, with the horses spinning around, gold and silver over the long term will continue to appreciate. And that's something big to have on the radar, right? So US interest on debt is actually in excess of the military spending, believe it or not, and it's actually getting worse and worse. So that is a big one. So 8,000 gold, I don't think that's unreasonable. $250 silver, I don't think that's unreasonable either. And I think in the short term, just watch out for some, spikes. So if this Iran war conflict does get bad, quick, you know, we could see rapid jumps up in gold and silver quickly, and then maybe it retraces back down with the volatility, and you can see it play around. So gold and silver is getting more volatile. Just understand that. You can see how crazy some of these waves are that are forming, and this is also a reflection of kind of what we're going through in the world, right? So as the world gets more chaotic and you know, more volatile, gold and silver will also match that too. But again, bullish update for today, interesting update, and watch out for that. So that is the most important news you need to know right now. Really appreciate you tuning into this video. Go have a great rest of the day. If you want the next update, just subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Economic Zeus signing out.